Are you in contact with children who are oppositional or have difficulty showing some emotions? Then this video is for you.
So the first behaviour we will look at today is children who really find it difficult to show different types of emotions. And as we spoke about in our last video, this arises a lot of the time from parental injunctions and messages which allow the child to feel that some emotions are good, some emotions are bad, some emotions are allowed here, and some emotions are not allowed here. So the two key affirmations which I would use to really help a child with this type of behavior is you can feel all of your emotions here and you can be yourself and we will still care for you. And the two strategies or tips which I would give are to really try and see if you can use role-playing charts to teach the child about the emotions that they can have. And I really see this kind of playing out, whether it be at the start of the day or at the end of the day, or kind of any major events which happen that have an effect on the child. Just a time where you can check in with the child and to really see what emotions may be arising. And the use of a chart really helps the child to see what emotions they can feel. For example, embarrassment or jealousy or envy or elation, so on and so forth. And I really feel that role playing plays a really big part in this, as it allows the child to see the different type of emotions that can arise from different situations. And the second strategy or tip is really more for the kind of big people in the child's life. And it's about us really beginning to understand the importance each emotion has. And one of my passions now is to really help parents, educators, people who are in the lives of young people to really understand that even an emotion of anger plays a really important part within the child's life. So again, as I always do, the best way to illustrate this would be with a story. So thinking about my son when he was young, anger was a feeling which was not allowed within the house. And when moments of anger or defiance were shown, there were consequences. There was finger pointing. And what this did was teach my child that some emotions are not helpful and some emotions will get me in trouble. So what he began to do was, when he was really angry inside, he would cry, which, funny enough, is something which I do. But again, that's a whole another story. And really reflecting on it and really thinking about it, and through a lot of the work which I've done within transactional analysis, I started to reframe my understanding of anger. And again, I simply started to see anger as just the desire to change something. And what I realized was the injunctions that I was putting on my son was causing him to be timid. And it was causing him to feel powerless, to have things happen to him and for him not to happen to things. So if he was unhappy about something and he really wanted to change it because he felt that crying or being sad was a greater emotion, he wouldn't show anger and he would just kind of cry and not really kind of do anything to change the situation. So what I began doing was I started on a journey of helping my son really learn about the importance of anger and the importance of feeling it, and knowing that it wasn't a bad thing to be angry, but it was a necessary emotion and a necessary force for change. And our conversations used to be quite simple, actually. It was, I would kind of see him crying and I would kind of go up to him and I would kind of really say to him, oh, has something made you angry? As I knew that a lot of the times when he cried, he was angry. And he would say yes. And then I would often say, okay, so what do you want to change? And after he had told me, it was my job now to give him the permission to either A, make that change in a polite but powerful manner, or to accept that, you know, the thing that he wants to change can't happen, but he can do something else and still be powerful. And it was a big journey and it's still going on. But my son is really beginning to recognize that emotion and, most importantly, the power behind it. And I think for me, I labor this story and I really want to emphasize it because a lot of the issues that I have seen with a lot of the young people that I have encountered are around real difficulties in showing different types of emotions. And I believe it's our job as kind of older people in their lives to really help them to understand that every single emotion has a use, has a need, and there are no bad emotions. And I believe this will really help our kids to, come out of the confusion and to really come into being who they are and living out their authentic emotions. So the last behavior that we will look at is oppositional behavior. And in our last video, we said that a lot of the time this type of behavior arises when the child lives in an environment or is in an environment where there are no clear boundaries. And so the child is not used to not getting their own way or used to the word no. And their word no can conjure up some really, really challenging behavior. So some of the affirmations which I think would definitely help with a situation like this would be: you can think and feel at the same time, and we will keep you safe as you push the boundaries. And I'm hoping as I go through the next two strategies, those affirmations will become clear. So again, one of my kind of first tips or strategies would be to really try to explain the reasons behind your decisions. So if you're in contact with a young person that is struggling within the thinking stage and is showing the oppositional behavior, a lot of the time they might not even understand why you're telling them to do something, because for a large portion of their life they have not had any boundaries. No one has told them to go left and they've gone left. So again, it's very important that things are really broken down and the reasons behind a consequence or the reason behind a reward is made clear, so that the child won't just see it as a boundary or you stopping them from doing something, but they'll be able to start to think and see the love and care that goes with putting in clear boundaries for the child. So the last strategy is it's really important to have clear rewards and consequences which are followed. And I really cannot stress that enough. So for example, if you are with a child that shows challenging behavior when you're on journeys, it's really important that the child knows the expectations, the direction that you want the child to follow, i.e. you want them to listen, you want them to hold your hand when you cross the road, etc., etc. It's also really important that the child understands the consequences for not listening, i.e. the child may not go out as much as them not listening, may be putting themselves in a risky predicament. And it's really important that whatever the consequences, whatever the reward is, it has to be done. And we have to be strong. We have to be strong to give the child not just what they deserve, but really what they need. And a lot of the time, or should I say all the time, it's very important for kids to have clear boundaries. They may not like it, but I see it as not just looking at them now, but it's about us looking at the future them, and it's about us understanding that we want to grow kids who can think and feel and have a clear understanding of what is right and what is wrong. There you go, guys. And in our next video, we will be looking at the next two behaviors, which are children that are yes men and also children which are oblivious to their surroundings. So again, guys, as I always say, please, if you've liked the content, like it, subscribe, and please leave a comment, and I will see you next week.